world where every single day is a fight to stay alive. You wake up cold, hungry, and surrounded by danger. The shadows hold predators that see you as nothing more than a delicious meal to devour. The rivers and forests, death traps filled with creatures you can't outrun or outfight. For one prehistoric human species, this wasn't just a bad day. This was their entire existence. No fire, no tools, no safety, just survival at its most brutal. This is the story of a life so harsh, so horrifying, that it shaped the very core of humanity's will to endure. Welcome to the nightmare of prehistoric survival. What made their lives such a living horror? And how did they fight back when everything seemed against them? Let's dive into the unimaginable struggles of early humans and uncover the terrifying truth. Stay tuned, because I'll reveal about our prehistoric cousins that lost their way in the struggle of survival. If you love prehistoric mysteries, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss the next discovery. Welcome to the prehistoric world, a time when survival wasn't just a challenge, it was a near impossible feat. For early humans, the Earth wasn't a home, it was a battlefield, one where the odds were stacked against them at every turn. These people opened up their eyes in a landscape that seemed alive with danger. The forests were dense, offering little visibility and countless hiding spots for predators. A rustle of leaves or crack of a twig could be a warning or a death sentence. Tall grass in the open savannas swayed gently in the wind, but lurking beneath were ambush predators like not-so-cute cats, perfectly camouflaged and ready to strike. The rivers weren't an escape either. Crocodiles the size of modern buses lay silently beneath the surface, waiting for anything or anyone to come close. Fossil evidence even shows human remains with distinctive crocodile bite marks, but the dangers weren't limited to living creatures. Nature itself was a relentless adversary. Vast ice sheets covered much of the northern hemisphere, and as they expanded and receded, they reshaped the land in a violent ways possible. Floods from melting glaciers could occur without warning, sweeping away everything in their path. These weren't small floods, they were catastrophic events, creating vast new rivers and lakes while erasing entire ecosystems in the process. Droughts were equally unforgiving. In regions where humans relied on rivers and seasonal rains, a single dry year could mean the difference between life and death. As if the land and water weren't hostile enough, the sky also played its part in making life unbearable. Volcanic eruptions were a frequent occurrence, sending plumes of ash into the atmosphere and darkening the skies for months or even years. The ash blocked sunlight, lowering temperatures and causing what some scientists refer to as volcanic winters. Earthquakes, too, were common, caused by the shifting tectonic plates of a still-forming world. Entire landscapes could change overnight, mountains collapsed, valleys were created, and early human groups that relied on stable routes or landmarks often found themselves lost in unfamiliar terrain. For those who lived near coastlines, tsunamis added another layer of danger, washing away entire populations in moments of sheer destruction. But the most insidious threat was the climate itself. The Earth was in the grip of an ice age, a time when freezing temperatures dominated much of the globe. Winters lasted longer than today's lifetimes, and summers were brief and unforgiving. Even in warmer regions, life was far from safe. Dense tropical forests teemed with venomous snakes, giant insects, and disease-carrying parasites, spreading rapidly through small, vulnerable human groups. Without any knowledge of medicine or sanitation, even a minor infection could become a death sentence. For early humans, there was no such thing as security. Every day was a gamble, a race against the clock to find food, water, and shelter before the next disaster struck. The stress of knowing that at any moment a predator could attack, a flood could wipe out your group, or the simple act of drinking water from a river could infect you with a deadly parasite, were eating our ancestors alive from inside. This was the reality they faced, a life where danger came from every direction. But the environment wasn't the only danger. For these early humans, simply finding food meant taking life-threatening risks. Food wasn't just a necessity, it was an obsession. Due to hard work of labor in daily life, they need more food, a life or death pursuit that defined every waking moment. Without it, Their fragile bodies would weaken and fail. But finding food was no simple task. It was a gamble where every step carried the risk of injury or death. Scavenging was the most common way to eat, a way where the one predator take away the prey of other predator when they are feasting it. But it was also one of the most dangerous ways. These humans weren't the top predators of their world. They were at the mercy of apex killers. The courage or desperation it took to walk up to a carcass, it's something need to be appreciated in them, knowing that at any moment a predator might emerge from the shadows. Evidence tells us these emerges were rarely safe. Bite marks on human bones suggest that many scavengers were attacked while trying to feed. Some didn't survive, while others lived with permanent injuries. But scavenging wasn't always an option. Sometimes there were no carcasses to be found, and humans were forced to hunt for themselves. Without fire, advanced tools, or the strength to overpower large animals, these hunts were far from efficient. Without the precision of modern weapons, it often took multiple attempts to bring down even small animals. A missed strike could mean injury or losing the prey entirely. And then there were the predators who watched these hunts closely, ready to swoop in and steal the kill before humans could claim it. So scavenging was happening from both sides. Rivers offered another potential food source, fish. But even here, danger lurked. Fishing meant venturing close to the water, where ancient crocodiles ruled with ambush tactics that were nearly impossible to predict. Insects were another option, though far from ideal. Early humans learned to dig for grubs, collect termites, and even consume certain types of ants. While these provided critical calories during times of scarcity, they were never enough to sustain a group for long. The effort often outweighed the reward, leaving humans perpetually hungry. Even plants came with risks. Many prehistoric plants were toxic, and early humans had to rely on trial and error to determine what was safe to eat. But when food was scarce and survival was on the line, humans made unthinkable choices. Evidence of cannibalism has been found in multiple archaeological sites, bones with cut marks and signs of butchery. This wasn't an act of malice. It was a desperate measure taken when no other options remained. The psychological toll of such actions must have been enormous. Yet it speaks to the lengths. Food scarcity also brought humans into conflict with one another. Groups often clashed over access to prime scavenging sites or hunting grounds. These confrontations were brutal, with weapons made of stone and bone used to settle disputes. The act of eating itself wasn't without risk. Without fire to cook food, early humans were forced to consume raw meat, which carried parasites and bacteria. This often led to debilitating illnesses, leaving them weaker and more vulnerable to other threats. Malnutrition was another constant challenge. Without a balanced diet, their bodies lacked the nutrients needed to fight off disease or recover from injuries. Despite all these challenges, early humans adapted. They learned to watch predator behavior, moving in as soon as a kill was abandoned. They developed sharper tools to carve meat quickly, minimizing their exposure to danger. Some even began to specialize in scavenging, targeting specific areas where kills were most likely to occur, such as watering holes or predator dens. The invention of basic tools marked a turning point in their relationship with food. Sharp stones allowed them to process tougher meat and access marrow from bones, a nutrient-rich resource that many predators couldn't reach. Cannibalism wasn't just about hunger, it was about survival. In a world with no guarantees, consuming another human could mean the difference between life and death for the rest of the group. But finding food didn't cope with other dangers. Even when they found something to eat, they faced another relentless threat, the apex predators of the prehistoric world. For these people, every moment spent outside the safety of their shelters was a gamble. The prehistoric world wasn't just filled with predators, it was ruled by them. From the forests to the plains, the rivers to the skies, humans were constantly hunted by creatures that saw them as little more than an easy meal. Let's start with one of the most iconic predators of this era, the saber-toothed cat. These fearsome felines weren't just big. They were perfectly engineered for ambush. With muscular bodies weighing up to 600 pounds and dagger-like canines stretching over 11 inches long, they could take down prey far larger than themselves. But size wasn't their only weapon. Saber-toothed cats were masters of stealth, moving silently through tall grass and dense forests. They didn't chase their prey. They waited, patiently until the perfect moment to strike. But the land wasn't the only domain of deadly predators. Rivers and lakes were ruled by creatures like Denisovans, a prehistoric crocodile that could grow up to 33 feet long. These apex ambush predators relied on patience, lurking underwater for hours until their prey came close. With jaws strong enough to crush bone, their attacks were explosive and often fatal. Humans scavenging near water sources frequently became their victims. Even the open plains weren't safe. Packs of giant hyenas, like Pachycrocuta brevirostris, roamed the savannas in search of prey. Hyenas weren't scavengers like their modern relatives. They were efficient hunters, capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves. Standing nearly as tall as lions and equipped with jaws powerful enough to crush bones, they left little behind. Early humans were no match for a coordinated pack, which could corner and overwhelm them in a matter of minutes. Then there were the skies. Massive birds of prey like Argentavis magnificens dominated the heavens. With wingspans exceeding 20 feet, these birds were capable of snatching small humans, especially children, and carrying them away to their nests. Fossilized remains of smaller early humans have been found near prehistoric bird nests. And let's not forget the terror beneath the sea. Although humans rarely ventured far into the oceans, those who lived along the coastlines still had to contend with marine predators. Prehistoric sharks like Megalodon, which could reach lengths of 50 feet, ruled the waters. While there's little evidence that early humans encountered these giants directly, the fear of the unknown in the ocean likely kept them away from its depths, limiting their food sources and forcing them to rely on the more dangerous shores. What made these predators so deadly wasn't just their size or strength, it was their strategies. Saber-toothed cats and other big predators used clever tactics, attacking from behind or above where their prey couldn't see them coming. Crocodiles relied on blending seamlessly into their surroundings until the moment they struck. Hyenas worked in packs, overwhelming their targets. Each predator brought a unique challenge, forcing early humans to develop new strategies just to survive. One particularly chilling adaptation came from Denisovans, a saber-toothed cat relative that specialized in hunting primates. This predator targeted humans specifically, likely because they were easier to catch than other prey. Denisovans' teeth reveal how relentless this predator was in tracking and attacking early humans. But humans weren't entirely helpless. While they lacked the physical strength or speed to fight these predators head-on, they adapted in other ways. Groups learned to band together, using numbers to their advantage. Even crude weapons like sharpened sticks and stone tools gave them a fighting chance, allowing them to defend themselves or drive predators away from scavenging sites. Fire, once discovered, became one of their most powerful tools. While early humans couldn't create fire on demand, they learned to harness it when it occurred naturally, using it to ward off predators at night. Ultimately, the constant threat of predators shaped every aspect of early human life. Cooperation wasn't just a choice, it was a necessity. The instincts we have today to form alliances, to anticipate danger, to protect one another, were born in these moments of relentless survival. But predators weren't the only danger. The environment itself, with its unforgiving climate and relentless famine, posed another deadly challenge. If this fascinates you, imagine what else we're uncovering. Click subscribe and join our tribe of explorers. Even if predators didn't get you, the environment likely would. For early humans, survival wasn't just about avoiding sharp teeth and claws. It was about enduring a world that changed as unpredictably as the weather. Living through cycles of extreme climate was more brutal than a Squid Game. Blistering droughts that turned fertile plains into deserts, followed by freezing cold snaps that lasted for generations. The very land humans relied on for food would betray them. Floods were another constant threat. Rivers swollen by melting ice sheets often overflowed, drowning entire groups of humans in a matter of minutes. And then there were the droughts. Oh mine. These weren't your average dry spells. They were years-long periods where the earth cracked, rivers dried up, and vegetation withered away. Malnutrition left its mark on early humans. This wasn't just about lack of food. It was about the lack of the right kinds of food. Starving humans often turned to desperate measures, eating whatever they could find. For those who stayed behind, life wasn't much better. Rising sea levels swallowed coastal settlements, forcing inland migrations. And it wasn't just humans who suffered. Entire ecosystems collapsed under the strain of climate shifts. Giant herbivores like mammoths and prehistoric bison disappeared, leaving humans to scavenge for smaller, less sustainable prey. Early humans were at the mercy of these brutal conditions. Nights were spent shivering in the cold, with no way to keep predators at bay. Days were spent searching for food, often walking for miles without finding anything edible. The exhaustion alone could kill. Even when fire was eventually discovered, it wasn't an instant solution. Early humans didn't know how to create fire. They could only harness it from natural sources like lightning strikes. This meant fire was rare, precious, and often impossible to find when it was needed most. You might think that ice sheets growing meant rising water levels, but the reality was far more complex. Ice sheets trapped water, lowering sea levels and exposing vast land bridges. These bridges connected continents, but they weren't safe havens. They were death traps, leading humans into territories with no resources or shelter. Some of the floods caused by melting ice sheets were so catastrophic that they've been linked to ancient myths of great deluges, including stories like Noah's Ark. These weren't just local events. They reshaped entire regions, displacing both humans and animals. But as if starvation and freezing temperatures weren't enough, early humans also faced another unexpected challenge: themselves. Breathing in prehistoric times was not just a physical ordeal, but a profound psychological and emotional struggle. Every decision carried life and death consequences, and the cost of these choices left a mark on early humans. The chilling examples of the cost of survival is cannibalism. Fossil evidence from sites like Krapina, Croatia, shows cut marks on Neanderthal bones, signs that they were butchered for consumption. This wasn't an act of savagery or malice, but of sheer desperation. In harsh winters or during extended droughts, food sources could vanish entirely. Scavenging meat from deceased members of the group became a last, horrifying resort. Imagine the unimaginable, making the choice to eat what was once your family or friend, not out of cruelty, but because the alternative was your own death. Some sites reveal marrow extraction techniques on human bones, identical to those used on animal remains. The analysis of bone chemistry has shown nutrient deficiencies in these individuals, suggesting that famine drove these acts. Cannibalism wasn't limited to Neanderthals. Homo sapiens too have left evidence of this grim survival strategy, showing that it was a universal response to extreme conditions. Life for early humans was not just a fight against starvation, but also against injuries that today would be easily treatable. Perhaps even more remarkable than the injuries themselves is the evidence of healing. These ancient humans didn't just endure, they survived injuries that would kill many modern humans without medical care. This suggests that prehistoric communities cared for their injured, providing rudimentary support like food, protection, and shelter while the wounded recovered. One Neanderthal fossil, nicknamed Schneider-1, lived with a withered arm, a crushed eye socket, and a partially healed skull fracture, proof of the resilience and compassion within their groups. It wasn't just the physical challenges, the mental and emotional strain was just as brutal. Constant vigilance was required to stay alive. A lapse in awareness could result in death, whether from a stealthy predator or a sudden landslide. These poor humans had to endure the trauma of losing family members and witnessing violent deaths on a regular basis. While adversity often forged strong social bonds, it also had the potential to strain relationships. Competition for scarce resources, distrust of outsiders, and the psychological burden of survival could lead to internal conflicts within groups. Consider the pressure of not just feeding yourself, but ensuring the survival of your children and wife. That weight, day in and day out, would shape how you viewed the world and how you interacted with others. One of the most profound costs of survival was the omnipresence of death. For early humans, death was not an abstract concept. It was a daily reality. Whether through the loss of a group member, the looming threat of disease, or the risk of becoming prey, life itself was precarious. What drove them to bury their dead with flowers or tools? Was it hope, grief, or something deeper? A need to find meaning in a life defined by struggle? Despite all these hardships, early humans showed extraordinary mental resilience. This resilience wasn't just a biological trait, it was cultural and social. The ability to anticipate danger, adapt to changing environments, and innovate solutions like improved tools or shelter designs was a hallmark of human ingenuity. Early humans likely shared stories, rituals, and songs that helped them endure the weight of their hardships. The physical scars etched into their bones and the psychological weight they carried are a testament to the brutal cost of survival for early humans. Every ache in their bodies, every night spent in fear, every desperate choice, they paid the price so that we could live today. And while their world was one of horror, it was also one of remarkable strength and resilience. In the unyielding crucible, survival was never an individual achievement. Early humans did not endure the relentless onslaught of predators, famine, and disease by relying on strength alone. Instead, it was their ability to build, nurture, and sustain bonds within their groups that ensured their continued existence. A lone human in prehistoric times was not Sigma, but rather an extraordinarily vulnerable. Strength in numbers wasn't merely a slogan, it was a necessity for survival. Early humans lived in small groups, typically ranging from 20 to 50 individuals, where every person contributed to the group's welfare. Groups often divided tasks based on age, gender, and skill. Hunters pursued large game, gatherers collected plants, roots, and fruits, and elders provided knowledge and guidance. This system allowed humans to exploit a variety of resources simultaneously, increasing their overall chances of survival. An early human tribe functioned like a well-oiled machine, where each cog was vital to the system's success. Even children, often perceived as the weakest members, had important roles in early human groups. Far from being mere dependents, they were integral to the community's social and survival fabric. Children learned survival skills by watching and imitating adults. Play often mirrored essential tasks like hunting, foraging, and tool-making. This hands-on learning ensured that survival knowledge was passed seamlessly from one generation to the next. Children served as vessels for oral traditions, carrying the stories, myths, and lessons of their elders forward. Their unique perspective as learners allowed them to question, innovate, and sometimes improve upon existing practices. Protecting children wasn't just an emotional impulse, it was a survival strategy. The young represented the group's future, and every member of the tribe had a stake in their well-being. One of the most profound ways early humans demonstrated the power of community was through the sharing of food. Food was not merely sustenance, it was a symbol of trust, cooperation, and survival. Large kills such as mammoths or woolly rhinos provided enough food to sustain an entire group for days or weeks. Such events were celebrated, often accompanied by rituals or social bonding activities. These communal feasts reinforced group unity and alleviated tensions that may have arisen during lean times. In times of scarcity, group members who had more often shared with those who had less. This practice wasn't purely altruistic. It ensured the group's overall strength and stability. Archaeological evidence, such as evenly distributed bite marks on large bones, suggests deliberate sharing of food resources. The injuries and illnesses that plagued early humans were often debilitating. The remains of a Homo erectus individual discovered in Demansy, Georgia, show that they lived for years despite having lost most of their teeth. This survival would have been impossible without others pre-chewing food or feeding them soft plants. Another example comes from a Neanderthal known as the Porter La Saints, who suffered from arthritis, tooth loss, and a debilitating hip injury, but lived to an advanced age. Early humans likely used natural remedies, such as herbs and clays, to treat wounds and illnesses. Beyond physical care, the presence of a supportive community provided emotional comfort. Humans who felt valued and protected were more likely to recover from injuries and illnesses, as the mind played a crucial role in healing. For any group to function effectively, especially under the constant pressures of survival, a degree of social structure and leadership was necessary. Leadership often fell to the most experienced or resourceful individuals. Leadership wasn't necessarily authoritarian. It was collaborative. Decisions were often made collectively, with leaders guiding rather than dictating. Disputes over resources, mating rights, or group roles could threaten unity. Leaders likely acted as mediators, resolving conflicts to maintain harmony. The emergence of ritual and symbolic expression played a profound role in uniting prehistoric groups. Rituals were used to mark key events such as successful hunts, births, deaths, or seasonal changes. These practices reinforced group identity and created a shared sense of purpose. While survival in prehistoric times often appeared brutal and mechanical, early humans were capable of deep emotional connections. The formation of pair bonds between mates strengthened group cohesion, as it provided a stable environment for raising children. Family units, embedded within larger groups, served as the building blocks of early society. Friendships extended beyond immediate family ties. Strong bonds with unrelated group members provided additional layers of support, particularly during crises. The communal strategies of early humans were not merely temporary survival tactics. They were the seeds of civilization. The bonds they forged under the most trying circumstances became the foundation of modern human society. The bonds forged in the fire of prehistoric survival were more than just a means to an end. They were the origin of everything that makes us human. They teaches us that, even in the most hostile environments, humanity's greatest strength has always been each other. When faced with a hostile world where every day was a battle for survival, early humans had an unparalleled advantage that no predator or environmental force could match: their ability to innovate. Human innovation likely began with small, practical solutions to immediate problems. Yet these small steps quickly evolved into monumental leaps as our ancestors began to experiment, learn, and refine their techniques. Early humans discovered that sharp rocks could cut meat more effectively than teeth, turning scavenged carcasses into life-sustaining feasts. Tools evolved from simple flakes to more complex designs, with grooves and edges tailored to specific tasks, like scraping hides or slicing tough plants. These tools were not random. Each one represented careful thought and problem-solving. Humans learned by observing the world around them, watching how predators used claws to tear flesh, or how fallen trees crushed barriers may have inspired early tools and techniques. They adapted what they saw, turning natural occurrences into deliberate technologies. Early humans were tinkerers. A broken stone might lead to a sharper edge, and trial and error testing revealed which materials, like flint or obsidian, worked best for specific tasks. Every failure was a lesson, and every lesson brought them closer to mastering their environment. The tools of early humans began as rudimentary aids, but gradually evolved into complex instruments that expanded their ability to manipulate their environment. Stone-tipped spears, crafted with precision and attached to wooden shafts, allowed humans to hunt from a safer distance. These spears became more advanced over time, with sharper points and aerodynamic designs that increased their effectiveness. The atlatl, or spear thrower, was a revolutionary innovation that amplified the force and range of a thrown spear. This tool allowed humans to hunt larger and more dangerous prey, like mammoths, with reduced personal risk. Fossil evidence shows that atlatls were used extensively during the Upper Paleolithic period, marking a significant leap in hunting efficiency. The bow and arrow, first developed tens of thousands of years ago, represented a quantum leap in hunting technology. This weapon allowed for silent, long-range hunting, conserving energy while reducing the risk of close encounters with dangerous animals. As early humans faced new challenges, they developed tools tailored to specific tasks, allowing them to interact with their environment in increasingly sophisticated ways. Thin, sharp blades were used for intricate tasks like carving wood, shaping bones, and cutting hides into precise shapes for clothing or shelter. These tools required advanced craftsmanship, as they had to be durable and effective for delicate work. Scrapers were designed to process animal hides, removing fat and flesh to prepare skins for use as clothing or shelter. This innovation was critical for survival in colder climates, where proper clothing was essential. Early humans created tools that could perform multiple functions, such as digging, cutting, and hammering. These multi-purpose tools were especially valuable during migrations, as they reduced the need to carry a large toolkit. Survival required more than weapons and tools. Humans needed protection from the elements, and their innovations in shelter and clothing reflect their adaptability. Early clothing began as simple wraps of animal hide, but over time, humans developed sewing techniques using bone needles and sinew thread. These garments provided not just warmth, but also protection from insects, sunburn, and minor injuries. Clothing wasn't just practical, it became a means of expression, with evidence of decorative elements hinting at early fashion. As humans spread into new environments, their innovations allowed them to not only survive, but to thrive in previously uninhabitable regions. Ice Age humans developed layered clothing, insulated shelters, and fire-heated tools to endure freezing temperatures. In arid environments, humans developed methods to store and transport water, such as hollowed-out gourds and clay vessels. They also learned to track the seasonal movements of animals and plants, ensuring a steady food supply. Dense, humid environments posed unique challenges, but humans adapted with lightweight, portable tools and strategies for avoiding dangerous wildlife. Canoes and rafts enabled travel through waterways, opening up new areas for exploration and settlement. Smaller innovations in daily life were just as vital to survival. Early humans used pits, freezing, drying, and smoking to preserve food for lean times. This foresight marked a shift from reactive survival to proactive planning. The creation of baskets, pots, and bags allowed humans to store and transport food, water, and tools more effectively. These items also facilitated trade as humans began exchanging goods with neighboring groups. Skills like weaving, carving, and dyeing not only provided practical benefits, but also added aesthetic and cultural value to everyday objects. In the face of unimaginable odds, early humans refused to accept defeat. Today, every piece of technology we rely on is a testament to their creativity and resilience. Their legacy reminds us that no challenge is insurmountable when met with the power of human innovation. Though early humans lacked the physical dominance of apex predators or the natural defenses of prey animals, their unparalleled intellect gave them the ultimate edge. Their ability to think critically, adapt, and innovate transformed them from a vulnerable species into the rulers of their environment. For millions of years, early hominins coexisted with animals, relying on basic tools and instincts. However, a pivotal shift occurred around 700 years ago, often referred to as the cognitive revolution, which dramatically altered humanity's trajectory. Early humans developed the ability to envision the future and prepare for it, enabling strategies such as food storage and long-term migration plans. This foresight allowed them to anticipate challenges and opportunities, a trait few other species possessed. Their growing capacity for symbolic thought led to the creation of art, gestures, and eventually language, enabling them to share ideas and information. Early forms of communication laid the groundwork for cultural cohesion and collaborative problem-solving. Unlike other creatures that operated on instinct, humans could conceptualize tools, strategies, and scenarios that didn't yet exist. The first stone tool was born not from brute force, but from a mind curious enough to ask, what if? The prehistoric world posed constant challenges, but early humans used ingenuity to overcome them, turning obstacles into opportunities. In forests, they established trails and markers. On open plains, they navigated using the stars and natural landmarks. They adjusted their strategies based on their surroundings, mastering environments from dense jungles to arid deserts. They learned to exploit diverse resources, like safely harvesting honey, digging for nutritious roots, and cracking open tough seeds or nuts. These techniques not only sustained them, but also diversified their diets, making them less reliant on a single resource. Early humans observed predator behaviors and used this knowledge to avoid danger or scavenge kills. For instance, they waited for large predators to finish eating before safely retrieving leftover meat. Human intelligence wasn't limited to solving practical problems. It extended into their relationships, fostering complex social structures that bolstered survival. Early humans built partnerships both within and outside their immediate groups, exchanging resources and ideas for mutual benefit. These alliances strengthened their ability to fend off predators and access diverse food sources. Disagreements over resources, leadership, or roles were inevitable, but humans developed methods to mediate disputes through gestures, rituals, and later, spoken language. Unlike other species, humans excelled at passing down knowledge, ensuring that younger generations inherited survival strategies and technical skills. Shared learning fostered innovation as groups collectively refined and improved their techniques. The ability to remember and share information wasn't just a personal advantage. It became a collective asset for early humans. Groups preserved knowledge about migration routes, fertile hunting grounds, and dangerous areas through oral traditions. These shared memories helped communities adapt and thrive in changing environments. Storytelling served as both education and entertainment, embedding practical lessons about survival within engaging narratives. A tale about outsmarting a predator, for instance, could teach caution and strategy to younger members. Memory allowed humans to store food, plan migrations, and prepare for seasonal changes, showcasing their ability to learn from the past and anticipate future needs. Beyond problem-solving and planning, early humans demonstrated emotional intelligence that reinforced group cohesion and collective survival. Fossil evidence of individuals with disabilities or healed injuries shows that early humans cared for their weak and injured, ensuring everyone had a chance to survive. This care wasn't just a moral choice, it strengthened group bonds, making communities more resilient. Celebrations of successful hunts and rituals surrounding death created a sense of unity and purpose. These shared experiences helped humans navigate the emotional toll of their harsh environment. Early humans weren't passive participants in their ecosystems, they actively shaped their environments to suit their needs. They discovered how to manipulate materials like stone, bone, and plant fibers, turning them into weapons, tools, and even adhesives. Birch bark was boiled to produce tar, a primitive glue that secured tool components, a process requiring significant technical skill. From rope and nets for fishing to digging sticks for harvesting roots, humans constantly innovated to expand their resource base. Tools weren't just functional, some were decorated, suggesting they held symbolic or cultural significance. Groups preserved knowledge about migration routes, fertile hunting grounds, and dangerous areas through oral traditions. These shared memories helped communities adapt and thrive in changing environments. Though not full-scale agriculture, humans likely noticed which plants grew in favorable areas and scattered seeds to encourage their regrowth. Early humans herded animals into natural traps or drove them over cliffs, showcasing their ability to control and exploit their environment. The intelligence of early humans wasn't limited to survival, it extended into creativity and self-expression, which played a critical role in their development. Paintings and carvings weren't just decorative, they likely served as teaching tools, maps, or even spiritual symbols. These artworks offered insights into their understanding of the world and their place within it. Early instruments, like flutes made from bone or drums fashioned from hides, may have been used in rituals or to strengthen group cohesion. Rhythmic sounds could also coordinate group activities, from hunting to migration. The act of creating art required imagination, precision, and planning, reflecting the same cognitive skills used in tool making and problem solving. This was just one of many jaw-dropping facts about prehistoric life. Subscribe now to dive into the next mystery with us. Thanks for watching. If you found this fascinating, dive into our previous video exploring Neanderthals' emotions and their capacity for love. Discover the surprising ways they connected just like us. Click here to watch now. I am sure you will love it. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and see you there.